Hello. Hopefully you can hear me. As always, let me know if you can't. But hi, welcome back. Hello. Hopefully you can hear It's been a while. Christmas, I think, kind of got the best of most of us. I definitely was a little slow getting back into the swing of streaming. But I'm here now. I'm just going to try and lower these volumes. It sounds really loud in my headphones to me. Yeah, so back to going through some stuff on how to mod. Let's drop this down a bit so I'm looking. There we go. On how to mod off-grid. We've done a couple of little bits and pieces on how to get started with a mission script, and how to start up writing some devices. But one of the things we haven't actually covered is how you can actually make interesting geometry, walls, windows, doors, and especially kind of the fact that off-grid obviously is all about network doors and things along those lines. So how to set up the doors on the network, how to set keycards up, and how to lock characters in and out of places. So that's the kind of thing that we're going to look at today. You'll have to excuse me because I've had a bit of a cold, and so my tongue's slightly swollen, which is making talking slightly more difficult than usual. Sorry. I'll do my best to at least be semi understandable. So yeah, give me a shout in the comments or the chat if you can or can't hear me properly. We'll be looking at some fairly straightforward stuff. I'll just be showing you the basics of using the level kit prefabs, but also how to kind of push and pull some of your own geometry around for walls and windows and things like that with ProBuilder, which is another part of Unity's toolkit. So yeah, without further ado, I will get game launched. So has anyone got any interesting stories from their Christmas? Did anyone? There's a few people who were making mods and hacking the planet over Christmas. Did anyone start making any mods? We had a couple of interesting suggestions on the Trello board. That's something I guess I should point out nice and early actually, is if you're watching this and you are one of our first access testers and you have been trying out some of the modding tools, make sure that you check out the Trello board for making suggestions for things that you would like in the modding toolset, and jump into the Discord and discuss some ideas as well. So just pull that link up. Here we go. Right, so yeah, it's I'll post it in the chat as well, but it's here basically. It's a nice little board that gives you the basics of getting set up, and then you can list bugs, make some API requests, requests for the level kit tools or geometry or any of the bits in the kind of level kit folder, which is over here somewhere. Level kit. So you know, just suggestions for how we're organising things potentially, things that you don't think there are enough of, stuff like that. So, what have I been doing? Well, Soph and I, that's Sophie the artist, who you might know as Green in Discord, we've been building this level. And I thought I would show you a bit of it because it's a work in progress, and so it sort of shows some of the process off quite nicely. Have a quick whip around it. This is you know, plenty of work to be done still. There's some flickering pro buildery stuff. But you can start to see how this stuff comes together when you get a kind of a top down like this. So I think this would be a good place to start. I'll show you some of the prefabs that we're using to make it, and we'll set up some doors and bits and pieces along those lines. So yeah. Turn the volume down in my ears here. So, the first place to start, like if you've got a fresh Unity scene or a fresh level kit build that you're building, you'll essentially be dropped into a scene with a single room in it, and maybe that's something that I should launch at the same time so I can show you by comparison. So if I jump into that one. Yeah, I think we looked at some test scene stuff before, but we'll just go through the basics of starting a new mod. Yes, here's the test facility. Yes, because last time we were coding up this fuse box thing to try and get that to do some interesting stuff. I think we're going to continue that one in another episode, but I thought I should get onto how to build some geometry because a couple of folks on the Trello board and in the Discord have asked about that. So if we were making a brand new level, where would it be? It's testing facility. Well, there isn't a brand new one. Rich mod test level. Yeah, this is the one that we started before. Let's open this up. So when you make a new mod, it gives you this. We can turn ProGrids off so that it doesn't distract you. It gives you this sort of little 2-room setup that has a hackable device in it. It has an exit trigger that ends the level by walking into it. It has a couple of doors with different atmosphere sounds being triggered on them. That's about it. But it gives you the sort of basics to start playing with. You can get a sense of, oh yeah, there's that chair that we turned upside down to show you that the mod stuff was working. So yeah, I mean, you can deconstruct a lot of this stuff quite easily now by essentially just looking for any of these mission objects, anything that has a mission object on it or a GUI kind of widgety thing. That will be referenced somewhere in the script. you know, the object name, and the scripts are just in content. There's the mission script. So if we were to open that up, you'd see, for instance, the exit has a little line of code that it calls in order to trigger the end of the level. So it's up nicely. There we go. So in the test level, it's got a load of really basic stuff that it throws up. That includes, at the bottom, exit trigger. And it calls mission completed, and that ends the level and puts you back into the map scene for your next level. But not only that, I'm going to have to get used to keeping these windows slightly smaller because nothing's on widescreen. You know, we might, like, player spawn is referenced here. Well, let's see what the Atmos stuff is doing. Atmos-1, if we were to search for that. Atmos. Oh, hang on. Really? Oh, yeah. The Atmos is just set in editor. Scrap that. You can set up an Atmos trigger by putting this component, Atmos sound trigger, on any game object that you've set as a box collider is trigger, and then the name of some of the sounds that are available that we will be publishing a big spreadsheet of at some point, but they're still currently being reworked or worked around, so there's work ongoing on that. Oh, here we go. I need ferrets. Hey there, don't know if I said it yet, but well done on the success. Hey, thanks. Yeah, thanks. The Kickstarter was great. Trello is great. I need ferrets says, appreciate the insight into Unity scene. Not seen an entertainment game through the Unity scene view before. There you go. Yeah, well, thanks for coming along. I need ferrets. I like the handle. Well, I mean, sort of showing everyone this kind of inside the guts of it all view is it's kind of important in off-grid. It essentially allows us to kind of get you into the dev tools and making some mods as quickly as possible. I figure kind of streaming it as we go along is the easiest way of doing that. You're making your mod, right? Like we've kind of gone through in a couple of the other videos how to get this scene set up. How, you know, you've got the create tool here. If you had got an empty scene, it would allow you to fill in all the information you need to create your mod. And we talked a little bit about some of this stuff to do with validation and bits and bobs. So let's say that you've got your mod kind of up and running, and you managed to get someone just walking in the scene and tested it. You want to throw some new rooms. You know, you don't want this. Let's say you don't want this trigger to be the end of the level. You want someone to be able to go through this door and on to somewhere else. But where else? Because obviously it's just empty space out there currently. Well, there's a couple of different things you can do for building some of your geometry up. The simplest way is in this level kit folder. We've got a whole bunch of different kind of pre-made architecture and models, pre-assembled. So if you go into collections, models, architecture, pre-assembled, walls, roof parts, room parts, rooms, and you can start dragging some of these prefabs in. So I mean, you know, lots of them are currently in progress. Some of them are a bit crazy. That's probably Yeah, that's interesting. That's from one of the levels that are in progress currently. Uh, there are probably some better ones, like, for instance, I mean, if you just wanted to drag and drop a corridor in here, you can just drag and drop that in and it's already made for you. Pop it in there. So some folks might not be all that au fait with navigating their way around a 3D editor. It does take a bit of getting used to. Essentially, I think I pointed people to the Unity Basics web page at one point. So that's a good starting place. But yeah, if you have a look at some of that stuff, it'll give you a better idea. So here we are. Let's delete that. Here's our corridor. But we want to do some more interesting stuff. So then you've got all kinds of stuff that you can start to do. And one of the nice things about this is you can actually just drop any of these collections in. So we've got windows, doors, walls. Let's just drop the walls collection in here. And this is a separate Unity scene, but basically Unity allows you to drop a second scene in and kind of, it's called multi-level streaming, which is the fancy word, but it basically means it'll run both scenes at the same time for you. So over here we've got our collection of walls and floors and ceilings and pieces and parts. And you can use any of these bits and bobs to make some more interesting textured walls or whatever else. So you might duplicate one of those pieces and then just dump it up in the scene you're working on. And remember, you've got architecture folder here, floor 1, colliders, geometry, so you might drop it in geometry, and then you probably hit reset so that it zeroes over to the center of the scene. And we can start doing stuff like that. You know, it's this is if you're kind of just trying to gloss up some of the rooms that you're in or whatever else. This is fairly basic stuff, but I figure I'll take everyone through it all. So, you know, you'd like pop out one of these panels. V is an interesting key in Unity. Basically, if you hold V, then it'll snap to the vertex of an object, and then you can snap that to another vertex. Nice, quick little easy cheat. Let's move the light off of here. No longer safe on light. Or VPN. Leave me alone. That's thrown me slightly. So that's the basics. Like, you can do the same for window parts and whatever else is, you know, let's make a section of brick wall in that. Well, that's wood paneling. We have brick wall 1 point. We've got lots of different kind of ceiling types, bits and bobs like that, basically. Don't know where the rest of the brick. I guess actually the brick wall stuff is actually in material. So that's actually another thing that we can show. So here you might get the materials. You might want to swap the materials around so it's not just a plain wall. You want to always be using the vertex materials in off-grid. So in the inspector, let's drop this down. In the inspector, you've got stuff like the mesh renderer, the colliders. There's some detail about the material that's being used. It's set up to use the data color, and that's the texture for the data. That's actually set, although the information is there, that's actually set in the mesh renderer. So here under materials, I just realized I haven't hit start recording, so I've been streaming without recording, so we'll start the recording now. So to kind of just weigh in for the people who would like to watch this later, we've started looking at basically how to build up your geometry in your scene. And the first thing that we talked about was the fact that a lot of these prefabs exist in collections. Here in your level kit folder, and they're made out of panels that you can switch out for different types of sort of textured fitting or wall or window or whatever else. But also you can switch the materials out. So there's a long list of off-grid materials, and you can select them from here. So some of them are unique materials. Some of them are things like frosted glass, which obviously we don't necessarily want in that instance. But there's like corrugated steel, I believe. Where is that? There you go. There is some brick stuff. Brick stuff's not looking quite as smart as it should currently. I know we had a chat about this actually in the team Slack the other week about there being something wrong with this that I haven't actually had the chance to look into yet. But yeah, there are a few different materials you can switch things out for. The main thing you want to do is like largely everything needs to say vertex after it, because off-grid is using vertex shaders. So yeah. The next interesting thing, and this is where I'm going to switch back to the dev project that I'm in the middle of, or the level that I'd started making with Sophie over the last couple of weeks. There is also a tool set within Unity called Pro Builder that is really quite handy actually. So that's worth taking a little look at. Essentially, you'll want to, now where is this? You want to go into the package manager, I think. Yeah. And there's a bunch of interesting built-in packages that you can then search through. The one that you're after, or that we're after, is Pro Builder. So if you go all, you'd search for Pro Builder down here, and I think you click install here. Well, I mean, if it was Oculus, yeah, you click install. So Pro Builder and ProGrids, and they're both well worth putting into your scene if you've used any other 3D modeling tools before, or even used some of the level editors like Hammer that come with other games. So yeah, that gives you kind of the ability to push and pull faces of things around. And once you've got those two things installed, it opens up a whole new world for your level creation. You can make essentially slightly better optimized levels by not making everything out of panels with individual colliders. You can do stuff, you know, in a more interesting fashion. And that way you can trip yourself up as well. But essentially what happens when you then install ProBuilder as part of your Unity project, you get this sort of set of tools here, and you can do things like create a new shape. You get a drop down for what the shape type will be. So, you know, you can select between cube, stair even, although I would recommend using our stairs so that everything conforms and that you can guarantee that the NPCs can walk up them and stuff like that. But yeah, a bunch of different shapes. The one that you will use the most is cube, and you know, you might set the dimensions to 0.2 for the conventions of our walls, and 0.4 here, and you don't know how wide it is, so you're going to build this cube. Try and keep on top of where everything is going. So I think we're on the first floor here. So you want to drop your cube into F1 walls, which I think is probably this one that's open currently. Yeah, drop that there, and then you can start doing some funky stuff with the walls here. So, you know, like, well, okay, the next thing to do, you know, you want to stick this on the correct layer, which is going to be level. That helps it to block bits and pieces. Don't think it needs a tag. And you want to switch this over from being a mesh collider to being a box collider in the majority of cases. So add component, box collider, just because it's going to keep everything a bit more efficient and performative. So we can do interesting things now with this little sort of bar of tools up the top here. We can start stretching out this wall to make a division in this room here. Yeah, let's say we want to divide this into 2 rooms instead of 1. Basically, we're just gonna grab this object. What's happened here? Weird. Yeah. Okay. So I need Ferret's ask, is ProBuilder a third-party plugin or is it a Unity-made plugin? So originally ProBuilder was a third-party plugin, but Unity bought it about 1.5 years ago, and they've integrated it into Unity as part of its core toolset. So it's free with the engine. It's, you know, it's part of the engine. You don't need to buy it from the asset store or anyone else. Yeah, so just literally you buy anything that you go into Package Manager. These packages are all they're all Unity packages, as far as I remember. These are things that Unity own and develop actively, and you can kind of guarantee you're going to be supported by Unity well into the future. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it was quite a big deal when they added it in. So, yeah, you might remember reading it. I need ferrets. Reading about it. So yeah, it's in here. It's easy to find and get hold of, and it's really actually quite nice in terms of being kind of intuitive for fast, iterative prototyping of levels. Like, there's our wall. It doesn't entirely fit yet, but in a second it will. And the nice thing about Pro Grids as well, this is Pro Grids up the left here. You can set the increments that you want everything to go on, so you'll never move anything outside of that increment. I've set it to 0.1, and generally that means everything fits in nicely. You can also auto snap things. Yeah, it's good. So yeah, there we go. We've blocked this off. This is now a separate room, but it's actually overlapping a bit with that. So you can also select things by vertex. So you know, that's object, vertices, edge selection, face selection. So select the verts there, and we'll just drop that down to there, and there we go. That's our wall, but maybe we want to do something more interesting and put a door in there. And this is one of the things that I was going to talk through, is like actually setting up doors in off-grid. So we'll actually make 2 walls like this. Back to object mode, we'll duplicate that, pop that over there. So in off-grid, lots of the panels, the pre-made panels that you get, are 3 by 3. The doors, the doorways, all that kind of stuff. A lot of those are 3 by 3 as well. Although you can choose not to, especially when you're using Pro Builder. Like for instance, this is something that's been knocked up to fit a door in an obscure kind of location. There's something weird going on there. What's that? Is it just the light probe? Might be. Yeah, so well, let's move this along. Come on. Select the face. Yeah. There we go. Oops. So a lot of this geometry stuff is slightly time consuming, so I like using some of the pre-made rooms. If you're more interested in sort of experimenting with making new hackable devices or coding up apps, I'd definitely use the pre-made rooms. There's loads of stuff. Oh, looks like I'm back. Right, so yeah, ProGrids is a lifesaver. Although, so this is one of the good reasons why Unity buying Pro Builder and ProGrids was also a lifesaver, because ProGrids and Unity's grid systems used to conflict. So I actually prototyped some of, or one of the first level that we did in Pro Builder when it was a third-party plugin, and like after having lined everything up, found that Unity's grid system conflicted with it, and so it was all over the place basically. So I essentially, Pontus and I, stripped Pro Builder completely out of the project, because we just thought, well, it's only going to cause problems, and especially, you know, with the game being moddable and ProGrids being a third-party software, that'll be a complete pain. Yeah, it was frustrating, and so we stripped it all out, and we left it, and then a year later, I think, Unity announced that they were integrating it, and so we figured, well, once that's actually stable, that is something that we can throw back in. So it's actually really nice from our perspective, you know, for creating a tool for modders, because yeah, not many other tool sets would be missing this kind of nice geometry stuff. And now we get it for free. We had started to make kind of our own vertex manipulation stuff, so it's really nice to be able to get something off the shelf. So we're going to throw a door panel in here. If we go collections again, you'll find that these these get massively long, these hierarchy lists. So doors, and we'll zoom over there, and then there's a bunch of different, again, pre-made panels. Now this is the thing with Unity, you can actually avoid having to, with Pro Builder now, you don't really need to grab these pieces, but say you do want one that's got a lip over the top of the door frame or something already, you can just grab that. So duplicate that, drop it up in the workplace scene. Maybe you want, so you can see like there's a bunch of different types of door here. Like here's some nice ones that are actually pre-set up. That's one with a scanner, that's one with a sliding door. There's some stuff in here for different door types that actually haven't finished being set up. So that's the one of the hazards of being in on the first access, is there's going to be stuff that's sort of only half made or not fully implemented yet. But anything that already has one of these interactable hand kind of gizmos on it would probably be, well, is safe for you to put in your level. So let's grab one of those as well, one of these sliding door ones, and we'll Control D to duplicate, and again we'll drop it in the workplace. I'll grab these two things, and these are actually, well, part of it's geometry, part of it's a mission object. So I tend to put all the doors in mission objects. Oh yes, well, this is actually all badly arranged because this level got started before I pulled the new hierarchy templates into level kit, so we'll see about that. Yeah, we'll reset that one, and that's off screen again, isn't it? Sorry. There we go. We'll reset that one too. F is what sends you straight to an object that you've selected or highlighted, so that's always worthwhile. Like if you've selected in the hierarchy and then here in the scene view you hit F, it will send the camera straight to it. So yeah, I need ferret says that grid snapping and dynamic shape adjustment looks so good. Yeah, it is. It's quite fun. It's quite pleasing to, like Unity was so basic on that level for so long that it is really nice to have that. So yeah, here we go. We've got this prefab for the door that's already got all the kind of interactable components set up for it, and this is the nice thing about this sort of prefab setup here also. Oh, we're a floor too high, I think. Yeah, we are. Make sure that if you're going to put doors in the level, again, use the ones that have this hand gizmo on them, because they'll have been set up properly for you to use without a lot of the rigmarole. For instance, there's something called an off-mesh link, which is essentially how AI navigate through doors. So this has got the scanner, but it's also got these things called off-mesh links, which are invisible to you, but they are there. So yeah, now we've essentially set up a division in this room with this doorway here, and we've got these two thingamajiggers, bits of wall here also. You might want to change the materials on those. Here's another nice Pro Builder feature. So Pro Builder, you can then now go to the material editor, and I think in Level Kit we have set up all of Off-Grid's Pro Builder kind of materials within the Pro Builder material selection thing. So you can select material palette and this drop down, and if you find the Off-Grid PB material palette, that'll give you a nice list of all the things that I think are most important to you. So the first one obviously is diffuse vertex, but this side we might want to apply the brick shader, although that is definitely broken, isn't it? Oh, it's that they've gone tiny. Well, let's leave it like that for now. I mean, they're just tiny bricks, but it gives you an impression, and so you might want to make some of these faces different colours as well. So what's going on there? Should allow me to select. Aha. Okay, yeah. Well, this is something to talk you through. So, obviously, this is a Pro Builder object. It's proven that it's a Pro Builder object by the fact that in the inspector here, it has this component called a PB mesh filter and a PB object script, and that PB object script essentially is what allows you to do all the pushing and pulling of stuff around, and by having that script on it, you can actually do that to any object. So you could get a prop that I've dropped into the room that we've made without Pro Builder, and you don't necessarily want to do this, but you can. You can then, in the Pro Builder window here, you can go to this option called Pro Builderize. Hit that, and it Pro Builderizes the object, which means that then you can select any face and just make this table really weird looking. I'm not saying you'd necessarily want to do that, but it gives you a huge amount of flexibility. So you can essentially remodel any of the props in Off-Grid in Unity by Pro Builderizing them in said fashion. You might not want to do that with the props, although one of the things that does then open you up to doing is also changing the vertex colors. So there is a vertex colors tool here you can pull up. I haven't got, I do need to do some nice stuff for this at some point. Oh, hang on, where is it? Vertex color. There's this little plus button that gives you the choice between painter and palette. We actually want palette. Yes, there we go. And actually, Soph, our marvelous artist, has built you some palettes, and this is the palette for the Apostle, the level in the demo. You can just apply that color to that one and that color to that one, and yeah, just start recoloring things if that's what you want to do too. So Pro Builderizing objects is interesting, but it's also kind of useful, for instance, for pre-built wall sections that might not have been Pro Builderized. You might want to Pro Builderize that so that we can make things look more like the brick color if you don't want this to be brick, but you do want it to match with it better, or whatever you're doing. Yeah, it gives you loads of options. So let me just pull up that vertex color thing again. We might instead choose, anything from here. I think, does the picker work like this? Yes, it does. So just hit the drop picker tool, and then anything on your screen anywhere, it'll select the color. So that's the Trello board that I'm actually highlighting that green from. But we'll go to the bricks, and we've highlighted that color there, and then hit apply. Bingo. So yeah, that's how that stuff works. I'm kind of jumping around here because there's quite a lot to go. So here we go. I Need Ferrets has a couple of questions or bits. Right, so I've not touched Unity in a fair few months, so recapping these shortcuts is good before Global Game Jam, of course. Yeah. Well, I'm glad to be of service. Yeah, you've got it's at the end of the month, Global Game Jam. Off-Grid's modding competition for this update. We run regular little modding competitions for the best mod up or the best mod using a certain feature or whatever else. And this month's one ends at the end of the month, which is just before Global Game Jam. So if you wanted to put some extra practice in, you could also be in the chance of winning some off-grid swag by uploading a mod to Steam Workshop. So that might be worth considering. I Need Ferrets. So yeah, just how clean that fitting of the door was. Yeah, there you go. It's so nice. I mean, it's also worth bearing in mind, like you can do a lot of that stuff simply with holding the V key. Like, what am I doing here? Is that in object mode? Yeah. Snapping stuff around in Unity. Obviously, this is nice and simple, but I've always found V to be so indispensable, because just literally hold it, go to the bottom corner of a thing and drop it in, and you can do that without whether you've got ProGrids installed or not. How avant-garde? Yeah, we have got a hipster office going. So, I Need Ferret says, you may have already spoken about it before, but I was just wondering what the yellow gizmo mesh is when you select an object. That's a good question. That's actually the light probes. So, it's really something you don't want to see most of the time. And if it annoys you, the easiest thing to do is go and turn off light probe group in this drop down here in gizmos. You turn off light probe group, and essentially, yeah, you won't see that anymore. It just shows kind of what light values the mesh would share or bounce with the player as they walk past. So, for instance, it shows how far the character would need to be away for it to get a slight sort of sense of the readiness of this area. And I can go into detail on light probes later, but essentially light probes just pick up some of the coloration and light around the level and pass them on to non-lit characters or only real-time lit characters like the player. I kind of want to make a brick-built hipster office you'd need to hack into. Yeah, I think you should. That sounds like a good job. Just sent back my NDA for 10 testers, so I may take you up on that modding challenge. Yes, please do. We'll make sure we get back to you straight away. If you sent it in the last day or so, I'm sure we can get that all sorted out tomorrow. So yeah, jump in, and there's a couple of folks on the Discord who are making mods, who chatting through and asking questions about what other people are up to. So jumping into the Discord and chatting with a few other people, like I think there's Chester is one of the folks that's making some interesting stuff. So yeah, look forward to getting you in there. So the thing I was going to show you next was essentially how to make sure that your doors are working. So just having a door in here will not necessarily work straight away. Some of them will, like for instance, if it doesn't have a scanner and it's not set to locked. So like for instance, there's a door down here that I put in. Woo, sorry. This door, swing door, is just so, like, okay. The doors have a door component on them called the door script. And the type of door, whether it's swinging, sliding, or a gate, sets up how it animates. And the zone is whether it's within a certain sort of key zone, essentially. Ferrets is just celebrating joining the modding community. I'm glad. I'm very happy I persuaded you to join the modding community here. Good. So yeah, a door script. This can be set to nothing. It usually, I think, when you create a new door, it's set to default, and it won't be locked anyway. But if it has a scanner on it to open it, like a sliding door, then you have to set up the network and the key stuff for it to actually work. So we will have a quick look at this one that we just dragged in by its hipster brick office thing, because hang on. I'm slightly worried that this prefab isn't set up properly. Scanner. Where's the door script for this? Sliding door with scanners. It's here. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. So this is set to floor 00. There's no floor 00, and it is locked already. So what we'll do is, well, let's open up Steam. I'll just log into that quickly. So when, like, only ferrets, basically, when you get your pentester access come through, you'll get essentially a Steam key and access to a kind of locked stream on Steam. So that's why we're launching Steam here. It's taking its sweet time though. Come on, Steam. There we go. So yeah, this is where you've got in the tools section, you've got the off-grid level kit. You'll have downloaded that. That's this off-grid tool set within Unity, which again I explained in one of the other modding videos. And on YouTube, you can basically go and find on YouTube/offgrid the game, the modding playlist, and it has all these episodes and the titles for what it takes you through. And all this is covered on the wiki as well. But basically, then we go to games, and where is off-grid? Off-grid should be in here somewhere. A, B, C, D, E. Oh, it needs an update. Oh right, yeah, Pontus has updated it. All right. Well, let's play this and get it downloading the update. How quick's that going to be? Might take a while because I'm streaming at the same time. Okay, so in a few minutes time we'll be able to test this, but essentially what we have is the ability to use the modding kind of level that you're working on and this level kit tool to network with the game. So we'd launch the game, we'd search for the game, and we'd push ourselves into it. Essentially, the way that you set up the doors, and I'll go through the basics of this while we're waiting for off-grid to update. It's not taking that long. You essentially just need to add them to your mission script. So your mission script for your level will be, well, in this instance, you know, you've got your mod, and mine's called workplace missions, workplace bundles, characters, content, workplace mission. And essentially in the workplace mission, you have the devices that you define. Lower down, under mission add hackable devices, we have a sort of an area for setting zone keys. So yeah, basically all I've done is on the API, on the wiki, DoorsLure API, literally gone to here, set zone keys, doors, set zone keys, zone name, key names. And essentially, like, the way that the keys work in off-grid is that they're essentially whatever area you define. So for instance, the maintenance key gets into all of these areas, and areas are literally defined by what doors you name them. So you might be able to get into one room with a maintenance key and another with a second floor key. And these are obviously not got particularly interesting names, but I was just doing it quickly to make an example. So, you know, like, let's make a new zone that only that door can be opened by. So door dot set zone keys, and the zone name is going to be ferrets mod, because you're here watching. Oh, I've just lost my pages. Damn it. I hate that thing where you, like, if you like wriggle a window too much, it disappears everything. Right, what was I doing? Yeah, I need ferrets is the zone name, and like, I need ferrets key name is going to be the same in this instance. And essentially we just put this string as the zone on the door, and we'll need to get an object to give us that key actually. So, well, let's do this first. Oops, that's the wrong Unity project, close that one. So we select our door. We go to the door script, which should be on it already, and we just call this I need ferrets. And we said it is locked, and now that is a door that exists within that zone. That is very neat code. I didn't even need to do any modding, and I'm modding. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, you are now a door zone. I need ferrets. Now we will need something to give us the key for that, but that's essentially the basics done there for setting this zone up. So let's do something silly. Let's make this coffee machine give us the key, the I need ferrets key. You might notice some sort of slight bugging out of some stuff. That's occlusion culling, and if we see a lot of that, I'll show you how to deal with it differently. Actually, might not. That might actually be the near clipping plane. But so we've got the door, but we don't have the key for it, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to make something very basic on this. We're going to add a mission object component, and we're going to make it an interaction, not generic, and we'll make it scanning action, so that makes the player get their phone out of their pocket to interact with it instead of grab, which is just the hand grabbing something. So like the player will scan this coffee pot in order to get the thing they need. We could set it to trigger Unity events, and we could make a particle effect go off as well if we really wanted to, although we'll leave that for another day maybe. So fix box needs a box collider. So that's the basics of that done, and let's just call this ferrets coffee. I need ferrets coffee. Now basically the name of the mission object, the name of the game object itself is the important part. So make sure that you spell this the same as whatever you're going to throw into your script. But then what we're going to do is I'm just going to go to the bottom of the script here, and because in true Blue Peter style I've sort of made one of these earlier. Control Shift. Oh, if you're using Atom Editor, by the way, this is a really neat shortcut. Highlight everything that you want to duplicate, Control Shift D, and it duplicates the entire thing that you've selected nicely underneath. So we're not going to play any sound. We're going to change that to I need ferrets coffee. On stop interacting, this is now going to use the Lure API, door, assign key to character, front door, and then which character, and in this case the player character. I will go into more of this stuff in detail as we go along, but in order to not make this incredibly long and sort of talking too much about Lure tables, essentially this is looking for this script, the mission script, the characters table, and a table called Joe within it, which is up here. So characters table Joe, and that's who it's going to assign that key to. And that does a load of interesting stuff, like you'll see with the UI, like pop-ups that show that it's downloaded the key for you, and this, that, and the other. That's all stuff that's done behind the scenes for you. So I need ferrets coffee. It can't be front door though. It has to be the same name as the door zone that we've put on that door that we've put in here. So I'll go to that. Some door scanners. I need ferrets zone, and then head back to the script and put it in there. And now caveat, this should all work. It might not, because I was doing some dev in this morning that I then didn't necessarily test 100% before coming onto the stream. And anyone who's watched this this stream a few times will have seen me do the same and have to debug stuff live, but we'll see. We'll pray to the demo gods. Save that. Now this should essentially allow us to be dropped into the room and test this stuff out. The other thing I'm going to do, and the other thing that's kind of nice actually, I'm going to make a new player spawn. So what you can do is you can just move the spawn point around. Like we could go down here and grab this player spawn point here and move it and then move it back, but that's no fun, is it? Like you want to do this in code, and you want to be able to test in multiple locations at different times. So what we'll do is we would go game object create empty and it will drop an empty game object for us here. And then again, we're going to add a mission object. Let's do that there. And that mission object we're going to make into a spawn and take off generic. And as you can see, there's a little line renderer there that we can set the direction for where we want to be facing when we're spawned in. And again, this is another one where kind of basically any mission object, it's really important that you name them in unique and useful ways. So this is I need ferret spawn. And we'll just copy that. And we'll go to the top of our mission script. Oh no, not to the top of it, because that's the definitions. Go to the setup mission section. Sorry, scrolly. Cancel the objectives. Setup mission. Start mission. Oh, hang on, I'm going to have to cheat and Control F it, spawn. Oh, spawn point, player spawn. Yeah, we'll just switch this to I need ferret spawn. Right, and so that's going to drop us here, which is fun. Oh, I'm here, am I? Let me just so you can see me? Can you hear me? Seems to be telling me stuff is being streamed. You can hear me. Cool. Oh, I was basically saying this. Yes. I was taking us through the fact that basically now we go to this build section, and like if we move this, it says changes detected. It means we hit build level, and that's then basically going to take all of our changes and crunch them up into something called an asset bundle. Please check the validation window. Okay. So this is a nice thing in the tools that we built. Essentially, there's this validation window. It will tell you if something's broken. There's a couple of things there that are broken that actually aren't anything to do with what we're doing. So we just click fix. Changes detected. Hit changes detected. It's going to make asset bundles, which essentially is a patch system, really, or at least originally that's what it was. And it builds everything into a format that can be pushed straight into the game and read. So it compiles the shaders and all of the assets, and even the Lua code that we're writing as assets. And then what we do is we go to Steam and we launch off grid. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. We go to Steam, we launch off grid, and hey presto, we can actually then network the mod that we've been working on straight into our copy of the game. So those asset bundles are nearly built. Pardon me. Yeah, it's doing a little bit of compiling, so everything will be frozen for a moment. There we go. Right, and so now, well, if you're in the first access thing, which anyone who's modding will be, go to properties, betas, put in the password that we've supplied you with, and that'll give you the first access beta. But also, there's a couple of important things to do as well. Now, where are they? I remember. Hang on, how does this work again? I swear it's in properties. There's a set launch options. Yeah. So there was a hack that I told people to do. You don't need this anymore. Steve has fixed it, and Pontus has made a build that is uploaded that is in here. So if you've still got this in set launch options, remove that -force GL core command, because you really don't want that to happen anymore. And that should hopefully stop us from stalling, because last time I was streaming, the GL load made the entire computer freeze while the game launched. So we'll close that, and I will try hitting play. Hopefully off-grid will turn up. If I freeze or disappear, then just bear with us. It's a known issue. Hit play. Looks like we're still with you, so that's all good. So we've got off-grid here running. The next thing to sort of show you, and let me just turn down this. So we've got, there we go. Basically, you've got the game window, and then you can go over here to level kit in your modding project and hit networking and hit search for game. And as soon as you hit search for game, let me move this window along. See the game in the background here. Hit search for game and hit start networking, and it pushes your mod straight to the game. And there is something it doesn't like about something I've written here, but it looks like it might drop us in the correct place anyhow. No, I've broken something. But you briefly saw that it was going to spawn us in the correct location. So let me see, line 374. Yep, here we go. Some live debugging for you. Mm, 374 zone keys. Oh, that's why. Curly braces. Needs that. Hopefully that's all it is. I do have a problem with the set network stuff or something else, so we're kind of getting into it being quite a long stream anyway, so as soon as we get this working, I'll leave it there, and we'll come back to actually setting your doors to be on the Wi-Fi, and therefore being able to hack the doors and select the door data that's being left behind, etc. So yeah, hopefully that fixes it. We'll need to go back to here, stop, and then hit start again, and it reloads the lure. The lure changes, you don't have to build asset bundles for. There we go, working. So we are in the I need ferrets spawn of this level. I should probably move the game to the side, or me to the side, or something. We'll turn the helper app off so that. No, that's the light monitor. Turn the helper app off. This should be locked. Yeah, won't let us use it. But instead, we're going to go to this coffee machine. We're going to scan that. It gives us the I need ferrets key, authorized by Passage Systems Limited. And then we should be able to go over to this door, scan it, and it will let us through. And there is an AI who's not doing the right stuff, and you can actually see AI failed plan going in through the console at the bottom. So there's something that I broke there, but that gives you the basics. Hopefully that kind of was an interesting kind of intro into building geometry in Unity and in Off-Grid, and also how to set up your doors, or at least the very basics of setting up your doors. Does anyone have any questions, either in the Discord or in the chat there, about this stuff? I think it might be only a couple of us here anyway, so please do fire any questions at me, because otherwise I'll just wrap it up and leave it there. You can always check this stuff out on the wiki if you don't want to watch a video again. The doors stuff is slightly limited, but basically go to categories modding on the wiki, and that'll show you all of the stuff that we've written about. Also on the main page you can go to this modding thing here, and it has a bunch of stuff on getting started with level kit, a guide to building your first level, the kind of things that you need to do to get it done. All this is work in progress, so if there are gaps or holes in it, please do kind of go to that Trello board that I mentioned, which is here. Put the link in the chat. You can make Lua API requests, level kit requests, feature requests, etc., etc. Documentation and tutorial Steam requests. So, for instance, this stream is in response to. Is it going to tell me who made this card? iMod added this card. Perfect. So, basically, I will put this video on YouTube, and on this card on the Trello, I will ping iMod and say, here you go. iMod, would it be possible to showcase the basics of creating a simple level using the tools to create a simple house, maybe with a door you can hack? So there we go. So iMod, I will ping you, because we've done this basic level design one just now. So yeah. Right, I need ferrets says, I don't know if I have any questions. You explained it really well. I think the only problem for me will be remembering it. Well, again, like, that's why this is being recorded and streamed, so you know it's hopefully a permanent artifact for you to be able to go back to and review. So yeah, like, basically, look out for an email coming to you that'll get you in on your pen tester level build of the game, and you can then follow this stuff along and build your own doors, build your own hackable rooms. So yeah, cool. Well, as always, make sure that you wishlist Off-Grid, like and subscribe on all of the various channels that we're across. For the sake of that, I will transition over to here. There we go. Yeah, follow us on Twitter if you're on Reddit. Follow us on Reddit. Like, follow us on all of the channels that you're on. but most importantly, sign up to the newsletter, sign up to the Discord, and if you haven't wishlisted Off-Grid, please wishlist it, because and persuade like your mum and your gran and your uncle and your aunt too, because wishlists are pretty important for game devs to be able to show the Steam algorithm essentially how to prioritize them, and also it kind of it helps being able to notify everyone when the game is out, etc. So yeah, well, thanks for watching. I Need Ferrets, thanks for being part of this modding experiment. You're now assigned to Off-Grid modding history as the first live modded door and zone key. So congrats, and I will look forward to seeing you in the Discord and hearing about your mods. Cool. Alright, well, have a good evening everyone, and I'll look forward to seeing you all soon. I'll be back same time-ish next week. We'll be doing every Thursday again, starting from now. So yeah, I'll be trying to keep it regular and showing you a little modding thing each time, or a bit of behind the scenes on what I've been up to either way. Brilliant. Oh, last thing, remember there's a modding competition that runs till the end of the month. Basically, the mod that does something interesting that the team likes will get some off-grid prizes sent to them. We're going to be running regular competitions like this. I'm trying to get interesting swag from interesting friends of ours, so that's friends who make other hacking games, that's potentially some hardware providers, that's potentially some friends who run penetration testing businesses or work within InfoSec and can get us some swag to do with wherever they're working. So you know, you might get some interesting books about penetration testing, or yeah, who knows, might even be able to wangle a graphics card. So each month there'll be something along those lines. This month is off-grid swag, so it's off-grid stickers and a shirt and some bits and bobs along those lines. But it'll be roughly each major update there'll be a new modding competition, which will be every kind of month and a half, kind of roughly every 5 or 6 weeks. So it's definitely worth getting involved in. We want to see your mods. We want there to be rewards for getting involved and helping us expand upon this stuff. So that's the way we're going to do it. So yeah, looking forward to it, and I'll see you all in the Discord and on the stream same time next week. See you all soon. Bye.